Another model, which I call experimental models, in converting hands-on, high-touch, and high-grain kind of learning into remote learning, is doing an experiment. Now, the whole idea of an experiment is this. You're doing an experiment in a miniaturized way, in a smaller scale way, but along the process, you're learning the big implementation of it. So, for example, many years ago, I was involved with a project looking at this lab in a university, and 3 or 4 of part of the graduate students, the objective was to test what you call a firing response of a neuron. Neurons in the brain, right? Okay, and neurons in the brain, they want to measure whether some neurons are responsive or not. Now, it was never done before that you test neurons on single level rather than a whole part of the neuron. So to oversimplify it, what they would do was to develop a very small electrical power source, very invisible to the human eye, a very simple electrical tool, so that they would insert that electrical chip into the neuron, a very small one, into the neuron, and then they would convert an electrical power, very low-grade electrical power, and form it into a digital way so that they can get a report in terms of a screen or feedback whether the neuron is responding. So very simple. They're putting a neuron and then they're putting an electrical system into the neuron to see if it responds or not. So this was done with a lot of design, a lot of chip development, a lot of reporting mechanism. But this small experiment, although how crude and they would do it, required so much imagination, planning, testing, reviewing the theory and the philosophy. So in that small experimentation, you're actually replicating a final product by doing exactly what it would do in a smaller scale. So we call it experimental models. And there are many of them, used a lot in the universities, but you can do this with your projects, your work situation. Find a way to have a smaller experimentation that allow the learners to experience what could be and what would be the full product. Experimental model of converting hands-on, high-touch, and high-grade learning into remote learning.